Hello, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen. This is Defub21, and today I'd like to take a moment of your time to talk about one aspect of the rather crucial aspect of the Nintendo Switch. That crucial aspect is its price. Now, there have been various prices bandied about. There's some reports online that it's going to be, $399, or which is 400 quid, dollars or euros, or that it's going to be $299 dollars or euros, which are basically, these reports are mostly down to supposedly, well, firstly, you have a number of online retailers are putting placeholder pages in place for the Switch, and they're sticking quite high prices on them, so you can pre-order them, and then if the price turns out to be an awful lot lower, they can cut the price you've pre-ordered at down to what it actually is, and that's where that's coming from. And then there's other sources who are saying, again, I've read from a number of websites. I don't have the time to go checking which ones it was. Again, I probably won't put links down to them either in the comments or in the description. I apologize for that, but I'm a bit stretched for time at the moment. But generally, the price seems to be going anywhere from $250 / euros up to $399. Now, $250, or should I say $249.99 / and the same again in euros, has been historically something of a popular price point for Nintendo. The GameCube launched at $249, the Wii launched at $249, and to be perfectly honest with you, if it does come out at that price point, it's Nintendo, from my standpoint, making another strategic mistake. The reason for this is kind of simple. If you go for a $299 price point, and assuming you want to sell the system at break even, so you're selling it at cost or at a small loss, at a $299 price point, that gives you basically $300 to spend on parts, assembly, packaging, and shipping. Which is, and again, considering that the PlayStation 4 launched at $399 and the Xbox One at $499, it's not a huge amount of money. But technology's come along quite a bit since 2013, when the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One launched, and that, a $299 price point, selling the system at cost or at a small loss, would allow Nintendo, theoretically, to build a machine that could compete with, if fall somewhere between the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One in terms of performance. I mean, there really has been that massive jump, both on the CPU side and the graphic side. If it turns out that the Switch is based on the NVIDIA Tegra X2 architecture, which is a Pascal-based NVIDIA chip, it really does allow for graphics performance that would be on par with or slightly better than the Xbox One in when plugged into a dock, getting full power from a wall socket, and then running in a 720p mode has been leaked repeatedly when on the go. The thing is, as I said, the problem with the $249 price point is, I mean, if you look back at Nintendo's history, is that it's a case of, for some reason they get into their head, we have to sell it at a $249 price point for it to be a mass market price product. But in reality, $250, it's $50 less than $299, but it's also $50 more than $199. In other words, it's not truly cheap like $199, and it's not, more, again, in the current context, $299 is pretty affordable as well. And the key problem is, again, is a case of, go back to the GameCube. A $299 price point with the money going on the hardware could have allowed Nintendo to stick a DVD drive into the GameCube, which would have taken away one of the main technical obstacles that stopped third-party support for the GameCube in the GameCube era. In other words, the fact that the GameCube's discs simply had too low a data storage capacity, and many of the games of that generation, particularly the PlayStation 2, original Xbox, GameCube era, is when the open world sandbox game personified by Grand Theft Auto 3, Grand Theft Auto Vice City, and San Andreas really came to the fore and really became really commercially successful. Those 3 Grand Theft Auto games are 3 of the biggest selling games of that generation, and they all sold more copies than the biggest selling first party games on the GameCube, which again is not particularly surprising considering the GameCube only ended up with an install base of 24 million or thereabout units, which was at the time making it the worst selling Nintendo home console. Although to put that in context, the Wii U has only sold about 12.5 million, or about half that number of units. So, which again gives you an idea as to exactly how much of a catastrophic failure the Wii U has been. So in the case of, again, this price point, it's not truly cheap like $199 is, but it's not expensive enough to allow Nintendo to build a machine that can compete with the competition. And again, the fact is, you might say, oh, Nintendo doesn't compete with the competition. Well, yes, it does, whether it wants to or not. People have a choice where they want to spend their money. Do I want to spend $50 on a game for the Nintendo machine, or do I want to spend $50 on a game for an Xbox One or PlayStation 4 or PC? Or even yet the more important question, do I want to spend $300 on or $250 on a Nintendo Switch, or do I spend $299 on a PlayStation 4 or $299 on an Xbox One? You can see, Xbox One bundles discounted for $250 as we speak on places like Amazon and stuff. They might not be for very long, but they are there, and the prices of those systems are going to continue to fall. By the early 2018, you are going to be able to pick up a PlayStation 4, a standard PlayStation 4 and a standard Xbox One for about this price point. And Nintendo has to compete with Microsoft and Sony, whether they like it or not, for customers' dollars in terms of buying, and euros in terms of buying a new console. And to make their console again appealing, it has to have broad third-party support. And the third parties are not in a, whether you're making a current generation high definition AAA game like say Dark Souls 3, or you're making a previous generation HD AAA game like for the Wii U or the Xbox 360, these games are not cheap to make. They're not cheap to make, and you cannot. It doesn't make business sense for any Western or Japanese third party to spend 60 to 100 million designing a big budget AAA third party game for a system that only has an install base of 12 million units, or even 20 million if it's particularly well into a console generation, and the chances of this system you're supporting catching up with the others is next to non-existent. So you need to be able to, you got to remember, at this point the PlayStation 4 is around 50 million units sold. The Xbox One is behind it, but was selling better for a couple of months until the PlayStation 4 Pro came out. So it is, between the two of them, you got to remember, when the Wii U launched in 2012, the combined install base of the PlayStation 3 and the Xbox 360 was about 140 million units. Why would you if you're a third party, take the best engineers you've got and put them to work majorly refactoring your game engines and even your development tools to work with a completely new system that in terms of architecture is radically different from the ones you're already supporting? You're already making lots of money. You've already got your production lines up and running, generating a lot of profit for you and new games being made and sold. Why would you? Take the time, the money for what might be, minimal return? You got to remember, the single most high-profile third-party AAA game that was for the Wii U, that was also exclusive to the Wii U, Zombie U, which was made by Ubisoft. That lost Ubisoft money. They did not make their money back on that game. They lost money on it. And again, back to the whole thing of the price point, if they had waited, 6 months, maybe a year, for the Pascal architecture to be available, if it's not available in the quantities they need it now, even if it meant adding $50 to the price point, a system that could compete with the Xbox One, the PlayStation 4 for capability, graphics and CPU, memory, the lot, that could easily port third-party games over to, that was mobile and on the go, that's an amazing proposition. And if it's really easy and cheap to port the games to, well, why wouldn't they do it? And of course they would do it. And again, my concern is that what we're being, presented with is, again, I mean, this is the thing about the 250 price point. It's basically mediocre. It's not cheap like 199, nor is it more expensive, but allowing for significant bump up in hardware capabilities at 299. I mean, you got to remember the core component, the APU, which contains the processor, the CPU, the graphics, memory controller functions, I think the I/O controller functions as well, and both the Xbox One and the PlayStation 4, which are both sourced from AMD. Those parts were like $40 or $50 at launch for all those key functions. They're probably down to $20 or $30 now. So it just gives you an idea of what an extra $50 can do. You put $20 on the cost of that key chip and you've got a significant boost in power. Another $20 gets you more memory, gets you faster memory. You know, that's the way it actually works when you're talking about mass producing something on economies with the kind of economies of scale that you get with the Switch, the PlayStation 4, the Xbox One. $50 has a huge impact on your parts budget. And, you know, again, at the time of recording, the Nintendo Switch reveal event is, God, well, it's happening tomorrow morning. From my perspective, and I'll be watching it at 4 a.m. But I'm, you know, if they announce the price point, that will, and it's 250, I'll be concerned. I think they should at the very least have a bare bones Switch going for 199. Again, if it's a Maxwell architecture, again, all the extra, the removable controllers add a lot of cost to the system. If it's 299 and it can't match the Xbox One, the PS4, they're in trouble. I think 250 is still, you know, the 3DS, so sales dropped off a cliff after launch at that same price point. I mean, it's just you know, again, the concern is it's again, I'm kind of rambling on at this stage, but it's just, you know, it's not cheap, but it's not more expensive, but allowing you to, you know, spend an extra dosh in the hardware. The GameCube, if it had a DVD drive and it sold for $299, would have been a very different proposition than when it did. It would have potentially gotten the Grand Theft Auto games that were literally not technically viable on the GameCube, even though in terms of silicon, GameCube more powerful than the PlayStation 2. But again, the limited disc capacity, issues with the second analog stick as well, kind of killed it in terms of third-party game support. And I don't want to see Nintendo, as I've said before, I don't want to see Nintendo, you know, crashing out of the console hardware space. Again, also on a side note, the positioning of the system, if they keep going on about it being their new home console, which seems what they're saying they're doing, it's not the replacement for the DS or the 3DS, then, you know, I don't know what's going to happen. The bizarre thing is, if it is their new home console, it's not their successor to the 3DS, and they actually go out and try and release a new handheld 2 years from now, they go with NVIDIA Pascal architecture, they could end up with a handheld for this price or less that's more powerful than their current home console that they're about to announce, from my perspective, tomorrow, very early tomorrow morning. Anyway, this is Defub21. Let me know what you think in the comments. I do read them, and I can do maybe another response video to said comments. Please like the video if you liked it. Even if you didn't like the video, say so in the comments and like it anyway. I could always do with more feedback one way or another. And if you haven't already subscribed to my channel, please do so. This is Defub21, waiting in anticipation. Toodaloo.